Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at another 2024 electoral college map. And yesterday we took a look at what would happen if in 2024, if Donald Trump actually wins in 2020, but today we're going to be taking a look at if it's Joe Biden who wins in 2020 over Trump, and now we have a Democrat in the White House. So we're going to be taking a look just a generic Democrat versus a generic Republican. In terms of the generic Democrat, who that could be, I mean, obviously you might have Joe Biden himself. I'm not so sure. I think it'll be his running mate, so you could have, Kamala Harris often comes to mind, Gretchen Whitmer, Stacey Abrams, Catherine Cortez Masto. I did a Joe Biden breakdown of his running mate possibilities in a different video, but generic Democrat, so there's a lot of possibilities for who that could be. Generic Republican, again, quite a few possibilities. You'd have an open Republican primary. You could have, Nikki Haley run. You could have a bunch of people from 2016 run. You could have a Ted Cruz. You could have a Marco Rubio. There's a lot of possibility. I mean, for all that it could be, if Mitch McConnell ends up losing his Kentucky Senate race, he could end up running for president in 2024. There's a lot of different possibilities in terms of who the Republicans could nominate. And again, no one thought in 2000 that Obama would be the nominee. No one thought in 2012 Trump would be the GOP nominee. Everyone was saying, it's going to come right down to the wire between Jeb Bush and Chris Christie, right? Whereas both of those never ended up actually even winning one state. I don't think any of those, Jeb Bush or Chris Christie, ended up getting any better than third in any state in their campaigns. So they clearly not the two front runners. But this is the 2024 electoral map. Excuse me, sorry about that. Michigan has lost an electoral vote. Illinois lost one. Ohio has lost one. West Virginia has lost one. Who else has been losing electoral votes? A lot of states in the South have actually been gaining. Florida has gained. North Carolina has gained. Texas has gained. While some of the places in more of the, industrial areas have lost electoral votes. Illinois has lost. Minnesota. Michigan has lost votes. Pennsylvania has lost votes. New York has lost votes. So, yeah, there's, a few possibilities. Montana has actually gained a vote. So now, instead of just having Montana at large, there will be two separate congressional districts for Montanans. So California has lost a vote. I can't figure out how to fix up Maine, because if I delete it, then I won't be able to split the electoral votes. So I'll just leave it like this. I do think that if Joe Biden is the nominee, I think that the split will be 3-1 anyway, so that's where we're going to start off in Maine. But firstly, secondly, let's just fill in all the Democratic safe states. So obviously the West Coast, New Mexico. By 2024, I do think Colorado will be pretty much a safe state for the Democrats. Illinois, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, New York, Vermont, all safe for the Democratic Party. In terms of the Republicans, let's go ahead and do their states: Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. If Joe Biden is the nominee, I think if Biden wins 2020, I think Republicans will carry all 5 districts in Nebraska: Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. So that's 126 electoral votes for the Republicans, 197 for the Democrats. So, so in terms of if Biden is the nominee and he is actually elected president, then maybe you could expect, sorry about that. Maybe you could expect many people to run in 2024 in both parties, but mostly the Republican Party, right? Because the thing is, if Trump actually wins 2020, then both parties in 2024 will have open primaries, whereas if Biden wins, then the running mate is pretty much guaranteed the nomination for the generic Democrat in terms of who's going to run. But in terms of moving on, let's take a look at some of the Democratic states that are trending Democratic. And I'm really thinking about states in the South. So you have Nevada. Again, has been a swing state. It goes back and forth. But generally, it can be seen that it is trending Democratic, right? So Nevada, I see going to the Democrats. By 2024, Arizona, even if Biden wins in 2020, there would be somewhat of a tide against them. Given how I think Arizona would be close, but I think that in the end of the day, Arizona would actually ended up into the Democratic column. In the state of New Hampshire, that has also kind of been trending in a swing statey way. It's kind of hard to pin down where they would go, but even under Joe Biden administration, I see New Hampshire moving through to the Democratic Party. Moving on, Minnesota. The state of Minnesota, interesting state. It seems to be trending Republican. By 2024, you could make an argument, but again, I think Trump would be the only one to make it competitive. I think if Trump ran in 2028, then I think Minnesota might actually go to him, but at this point, Minnesota goes to the Democratic Party. Okay, moving on, let's go, where should we go next? Let's go to Virginia. So Virginia has been trending Democratic. Again, by 2024, that would seem to be the case. And so let's just go ahead and put that into the Democratic column. In terms of Wisconsin, which has 10 electoral votes, Michigan up here with 15 electoral votes, and Pennsylvania there with 19 electoral votes. We see all three of these states moving into the Democratic column. So even under Joe Biden, rule, we could see all three of these because Trump would be the only Republican, in my opinion, to make these states competitive. Remember, Trump's the first Republican in a long, long time to take these states first, I think, since 1988, I believe, for most of these states, for Pennsylvania and Michigan, and 1984 for Wisconsin. So it's been a while. I see all three of these moving back into the Democratic column. And with that, 285 electoral votes for the generic Democrat, most likely Biden's running mate in 2020, and 126 for the generic Republican. So now it's time to give the Republicans some states. So let's start off by giving them two massive states, and you could probably guess what they are, those being Florida with its 31 electoral votes and Texas with its 41 electoral votes. So in Florida, we do see this one trending Republican, and given Democratic rule, it's normally a swing state, I see it trending Republican. We could definitely see Republicans pulling it out in the state of Florida, which boosts their electoral college number. And even more, they will be boosted from Texas, because in Texas, you could see it is trending Democratic. I think that Texas will probably turn blue in 2026. Around then, it will turn into kind of a blue state. I see it, if it's just Republican versus Democrat, I see it being a pure toss-up. But given how the vice president may have a slight disadvantage, I do see Texas narrowly moving into the Republican column, and I think at that point it would still slightly lean Republican, which boosts their Republicans to 198, and especially given the possibility, Ted Cruz could run, that could lock it up, Marco Rubio could run, that would lock up Florida, there's a lot of factors here. Moving on to Georgia and North Carolina, both now have 16 electoral college votes, and both I see going in the Republican column. So 230 now for the Republicans. So for both of these, I see the Republicans carrying it, mostly because, yes, I think both of these, especially Georgia, is trending Democratic. But by 2024, again, it's a bit like Texas. I see this one moving into the Democratic column in 2026, 2028. I think 2024 might be slightly too early in terms of that, but you could make an argument for Georgia and North Carolina. I'm not really seeing it, and especially given how Democrats would have already had 4 years and they probably didn't do too well in the 2022 midterms, I see both of those moving to the Republicans. Okay, the state of Iowa and Ohio, I think these are two pretty straightforward cases. Here, both of these states have been trending Republican. If you've just got a generic Republican versus, Kamala Harris, I don't see she'll be all that competitive in both of those states. And because of that, we see generic Republican with 253 electoral votes, 285 for the Democrat, which means that the Democrat will remain in office. So in terms of flips from 2016, Pennsylvania goes to the Democrats, Michigan goes to the Democrats, Wisconsin goes to the Democrats, Arizona goes to the Democrats, but everywhere else it's the same as in 2016. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope that I will see you all in the next one. Thank you and good night.